Welcome back. All right, so again, today we got plenty of players on waivers. Yesterday, we had plenty of players on waivers as well. One was taken. We will talk about that. But first, let's talk about today's waiver picks. So if you're looking at the Boston Bruins, Steens, Borrell, and Boquist on waivers. Boquist, when they signed him, I don't think they would have envisioned they were going to waive him before the regular season started. But I think he got played out of a job by guys like Beecher and Poitras. So for Boston, as they get ready for the start of the regular season, Boquist just didn't end up making the cut. We'll see if there's a team around the NHL that likes him on their fourth line better than the options they have on their fourth line. Today, of course, finishes out the preseason, so this might be a time where we start to see GM saying, hey, we got to fix something on their roster. And so we might see some movement, some little trades being had here. So we'll see whether or not Boston keeps all three players through the waiver wire from today. Bureau, Clegg, and Stillman are on waivers from Buffalo. Stillman, of course, acquired from Vancouver last year, and he played better in Buffalo than he did in Vancouver. But with Buffalo having a deep blue line at this point, Stillman ends up going on waivers. Probably clears, but we'll find out tomorrow. Fix Wolanski is on waivers from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Probably the most NASCAR-sounding name of any of the hockey players in the NHL. I could do a video on that at some point, putting together a NASCAR roster and just have one from each team. Could absolutely do that. But yeah, Fix Wolanski on waivers probably clears and ends up being with the Monsters. Also with Columbus news, there's been no updates regarding Chinakhov and Tarasov. It's just, Chinakhov is back. Tarasov will find out. But they will not play on opening night. So for Chinakhov, who missed a lot of last season, hopefully he's healthy sooner rather than later. For Columbus, of course, they had a lot of injury issues last year. They do not need that returning this season. Colorado, a team that's had its share of injury concerns over many years, and of course they're going to be without Landeskog. Well, they've waived Sean and Hunt. As a Boston fan, I like Sean, but I totally understand why he's on waivers. Brad Hunt, same thing. Hunt, I enjoyed him on the blue line in Vancouver. He is definitely a player that they can call up when something happens with their blue line, somebody gets hurt. He's a veteran, he's played a long time, and so, we'll see if he clears. Probably does. Edmonton, no surprises from Edmonton as Deneen, Kemp, Malone, and Pickard are all on waivers. Pickard's going to end up being the goaltender for the Bakersfield Condors, of course. And, I don't think any of these players are in any danger of being picked up. The LA Kings, they waived Tyler Madden. Madden, of course, formerly in the Vancouver organization. I remember when he was traded to LA, there was some concern from Canuck fans that would come back to bite them. But Madden, to this point, has not panned out at the NHL level. Very likely clears as well. Interesting news with New Jersey. So first they signed Max Willman to a two-way contract, $775,000 at the NHL level, $135,000 at the AHL level, and if he spends the entire season there, he has a guaranteed income of $150,000. They then have to put Willman on waivers because they're going to send him down to Utica. Bowers is on waivers, Dowling on waivers, and Tice Thompson. Tice Thompson, a mild surprise, he's on waivers. He was pushing really hard for a job, but New Jersey's got a good deep lineup. So if you're a Devils fan, it has to be an exciting time because Thompson being on waivers tells you how good this team is at this point. Because honestly, good preseason. Nemitz, it looks like, has made the roster for the New Jersey Devils. There was a lot of discussion about how that blue line was going to look and how many young guys you're going to have there because Luke Hughes is already going to be there. Do you have Nemitz there too? Looks like that's going to be the case. New Jersey is going to be a lot of fun to watch this season. Nashville, a bit of a surprise. They waived Gurianov. Gurianov had an up-and-down season last year. Rough time of it in Dallas. Played better, I thought, in Montreal. But Gurianov, with that cap hit, that's going to rule out about half the teams in the league picking him up. I don't think he gets picked up. It's always possible he ends up back in Montreal, but I don't think he gets picked up. And Kondolik is on unconditional waivers for Nashville, so this is because they're terminating his contract. I would think odds are he's going to end up playing over in Europe and just there's no interest in an NHL career at this point. That does happen. Players just say, you know what, I'm not going to be riding the buses in the AHL. I'll just go back home. The Seattle Kraken have waived Drieger. That's the easy one because Drieger will clear. That won't be a problem. I don't think Tampa picks up Drieger. I'd be very surprised because that's a pretty hefty cap hit, so it's pretty easy to get him through. If they'd waived Decord, there's no chance he gets through waivers. Cale Fleury and John Hayden also on the list of waiver wire options for teams. They also sent down Riker Evans and Shane Wright. So I believe they got some kind of an allowance that Shane Wright can play in Coachella Valley, which is probably the right spot for him. I'm kind of surprised at Riker Evans because Evans had a really good playoff with the Firebirds, but the blue line's pretty solid in Seattle, and he doesn't need waivers. So he can be the first call up if something happens regarding an injury on your blue line. And so we'll see how long it takes before Riker Evans comes up, but he played really well in that run to the Calder Cup final last year for Coachella Valley. The Vegas Golden Knights, the team that picked up somebody on waivers from yesterday, they pick up Denisenko from the Florida Panthers. Denisenko, once a highly thought of prospect, at this point in time, not as much, but Vegas has reclaimed players before. They've turned players' careers around before. We'll see if Denisenko is another example of that soon enough. But this does mean that they have another forward, so we'll see what Vegas' opening night roster looks like. You've got to think Denisenko will be on it. The Growlers raised some eyebrows this morning by naming Matt Cooke their coach. I will go ahead and say, you know what? A player is a coach. Quite different, I would think, in the way that he coaches than the way that he played. And so Matt Cooke, we'll see how he does with the Growlers. The Growlers, of course, the ECHL franchise, which is partnered, I believe, still partnered with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So for Matt Cooke, that's the organization he's in right now. We'll see how he does as a head coach. Again, we've seen some players that have had great careers that don't make great coaches. We've seen some players of questionable stature, and for Matt Cooke, of course, there's a lot of controversy throughout his playing career. But maybe he'll be a really good head coach, and we'll see how. Fans had some opinions when Newfoundland answered or announced this. So we'll see if those opinions change if Newfoundland has a really good year. Blackwell skated after practice today for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's recovering from a sports hernia, so you want to make sure you're taking your time with him, and then we'll see what kind of roster decision is made when he's healthy, whenever that's going to be. Josh Norris, a lot of uncertainty regarding Josh Norris. So Norris was on his way back. It looked like he was going to play. And then it looked like he had suffered a setback. It didn't sound like it was anything major in the beginning, but it's starting to look like maybe it is. And so the discussion is, do they put him on LTIR to start the season? And if you put him on LTIR, do you then sign Shane Pinto and you're kicking that ball down the street? You're not worried so much about your salary cap situation if you can park Norris's money on LTIR. But it's going to be interesting to see how Ottawa deals with this and how quickly Pinto gets signed if they do put Norris on LTIR. For the New York Rangers, Pitlick in a regular jersey at practice today, so Tyler Pitlick should be good to go for the start of the season. Lafreniere dealing with an upper body injury, not at practice, and Hedl in a non-contact jersey at practice. So that's 2/3 of the kid line dealing with some sort of injury issue. And so we'll see how things turn out for them. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.